Hey everybody, how you doing? I had to show you this. This footage I got from the car. But look at that sun. I just thought it was beautiful. I actually didn't realise until I got back that was in the sky, so big. It's getting on for about 7 o'clock at night. I was just sat in the house and I thought, I'm going to go and find that bloody ghost. So I got in the car and I drove not too far. I can't remember the name of the place now, God. Keeps coming to me and then going away, the name of the place. I'll put it in anyway. But I wanted to show you the location of a spooky ghost story. We're just going up the lane now. This is Peroyd Lane, and this is where all these strange occurrences. I can't speak, can I? This is where they all happened. I'm going to get to the top of this ridiculously high hill, and I'm going to tell you the story of what happened on Peroyd Hill, not only to policemen but also to local people in the area. Right everyone, well, this is Peroyd Lane in North Sheffield, and this area here, I believe, which is the bridge over the 616, let's try and cross over. This is the haunted part of the 616. So here, there's been several sightings of ghosts. There's been a monk, which has been seen on several occasions. There's been shadows that have jumped into cars, frightened people. There's been ghost children playing. And these children, they play in the fields at the side of the bridge. So that could be that field over there. But the story goes, many years ago, motorists would drive down here. And I say many years ago because the monk apparently is no longer seen. But basically, when they were building this bridge, before it was sort of in situ, people started seeing sightings of children. They saw 6 children in the field, all dancing around what looked like what would have been, say, a maypole, and they were dressed in like old-fashioned clothing. When these fellas got out to go and check on them, because obviously it was weird, like 6 kids, you know, I think it was in the 90s or the 80s, you know. I think it was 87. So yeah, they saw these children playing, jumped out. It must have been late, I don't know. There was a reason why they got out anyway. It basically turned out these kids just disappeared. And then following that, someone saw the monk. And apparently, in fact, it was the same guys. They were coming down the road. They were policemen. And they saw these children, got out. Children weren't there. When they went back to the car, they got in the car, and one of the policemen sort of had it in his head that there was someone stood at the side of the car. And when he looked, he said there was a monk stood there with like this cloak on. And then apparently straight away it disappeared and then reappeared at the side of the other side, and the other copper started screaming because he was terrified. And apparently this monk has like jumped into cars coming up this hill. People have been driving at night, and one woman said she drove down here and she was terrified because this black figure was sat at the side of her in a car, and she tried to she just said she cited the Lord's Prayer and then it disappeared. Now apparently in the 90s some ghost group came up here, and there was a fella. Look at that view everybody, isn't it beautiful? Yeah, there was a fella who come up here and apparently he communicated with the monk and said, you know, you need to pass on. And apparently the monk spoke to him. This is what he said. And it said, I did it, I jumped in all, I did these things to these people because I thought they were witches, I thought they were coming for me. And he explained that no, that wasn't the case. So apparently he got the monk to move on. Now the interesting thing about that story is that since that day, the monk hasn't been seen. But the children, I don't know. I don't know if there's been any other sightings. Maybe it was just a phenomenon. Who knows? I imagine these people who live in these houses up here will probably know. But this is the bridge, everybody, on Pogroyd Lane. Now, while we're here, I think we're going to go to Christchurch. We're going to go and have a look at some graves because it's been a while, everybody. And yeah, but before I go, nice, isn't it? Apparently well, we're in the car park to this church. It looks like it's got like a modern build onto it, but I do know it's got some beautiful features, starting with this gate. It's got the name of the church in it there, look. Christchurch. As we were driving, so I thought we'd have a rake round here, see what's what, see what we can see. So we'll start by looking at the church, go around the other side, and then we'll come back to the graves, everybody. Oh, Charles, the beloved husband of Elizabeth Dalton, departed this life April 6, 1922, was 75, at rest with the Lord. Also the above Elizabeth Dalton, poor bugger, lived another 10 years without her husband. She died at 85. We're going to look at these graves, everyone, but I just, like I said, oh, Amos, look. Not heard the name Amos since bloody Emmerdale Farm. Remember Amos and Mr. Wilkes? Amos Walker, who departed this life April 10th, 1869. Poor bugger was only 17. The result of an accident which took place at Deepcar Station near Sheffield, March the 23rd. Ooh, let's have a look at that, everybody. You never know. Might be part of a story, if you know what I mean. Be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. I think there's some very... Oh, look at that. Oh, I can't get past it, can I? Just can't walk past it. I just don't know what's wrong with me. Charles Jubb of Stocksbridge. He died, or he departed this life, March the 2nd, 1866. His end was peace. Aged 55 years. You know, sometimes his wife Martha is in there with him as well. She lived many years after him. You know, sometimes I think, when I see that on graves, his end was peace, I think what that says to me is that these people died a long death, you know, like a long illness. If that makes... I won't say that term, I hate that term that I just spoke to say, but if you know what I mean, I'll say. Wow. It's got like this modern front on it. I'm not too keen on the modern front, everybody. But it's a beautiful church. Let's have a look at this. This is Nathaniel Robrook of Stocksbridge. He departed this life December 9th, 1872, was only 28. Thou art gone to the grave, but were wrong to deplore thee. For God was thy ransom, thy guardian and guide. He took thee, and he will restore life, and death has no sting, since the Saviour has died. Also William Whittaker, he died 1873, was 58, and also Anne, wife of the above William. She died in 1900, thy will be done. I'm just having a look round here, everyone, to see if there is more of a churchyard, and I don't actually think there is. I think this is our lot over here, so let's go and have a look and see who we can find. Very small graveyard, but interesting nonetheless. Let's have a look at these. Edith, the beloved daughter of Robert and Anne Livesey, I think it is, who died January the 1st, 1880. She was 14. Also the above named Robert, he entered into rest June the 1st, 1915. He was 85. He died in a good old age, full of days and honour. In loving memory of Anne, the beloved wife of the above, who entered into rest November 26, 1917. Father, in thy gracious keeping, leave we now thy servants sleeping. This is Elizabeth, the beloved wife of Luther Booth, born 18th of May 1853, died 1904. Also Luther, he died in 1927. There's a big one over here, everybody. This one caught my attention when I walked in. This grave here, by the way, is very similar to an England cricketer who's buried in Wombwell. His grave is exactly the same, but it's got a bigger base and it's white. So this is in loving memory of Henry Jones and Henrietta Jones, entered into eternal life 1929. Henry and Henrietta. Now, I wonder if they were children and maybe they died at birth or something. I know that sounds horrible to say, everyone. And it says, if you loved me, you would rejoice because I go to Father. Or the other option, maybe they just perished in something terrible. Either way, it's not a good story, is it? Okay, over here, Arthur, the beloved husband of Elizabeth Booth. He died April 18th, 1918. He was only 37 years old. Also Elizabeth Booth, she died 1968. Wow. We've got Thornton, the dear husband of Clarence May Booth. He passed away on May the 6th, 1949. He was 68. 91. You know what sometimes fascinates? I might have said this before, everybody, but what fascinates me is like all the history that these people have not witnessed. You know, like the people who died in the 1800s, like First World War, Second World War. I don't know, everything. I can't even think of any issues off the top of my head, which is a bit poor, I realise that. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's mad, isn't it? You know. I don't know. But I just saw this. So I thought, I'm stopping. I'm going to have a look at this. I think it's a war memorial. The time's correct. To the honour and everlasting memory of the soldiers and sailors and nurses of the district who gave their life for their king and country in the Great War, 1914 to 18. It's also got remembrance for 1939 to 45, and it's got a roll on it of people. I don't know if you can walk it in. Oh, you only can, everybody. Look at this. This is fabulous. There's some stones here that have been dedicated. Presented to the public by the women's section, British Legion, Stocksbridge. Oh, look. People have put rocks here, look. And this has been presented to the public by the women's section of the British Legion. Oh, they've donated two. Maybe they did it for each war. 11th November, the day the guns fell silent. Battle of Britain. With pride lest we forget. This is beautiful, everybody. Look at this. Look at it. Let's have a look on the other side. It's all castellated as well, look. You heard the birds? Look at them. Having a scrap. This is a beauty. Look at that as well. In fact, you know what? I think that's where we've just been, everyone. Up here. Pretty confident that's where, in fact, I'm pretty confident that's where we've just been, over there, because I did a right and it was all the way up. All right then, let's get back in the car and see what we can see as we head back to Barnsley.